There we go. Alright. Let me see here. So, how is everyone doing right now? I'm trying to find my other... Oh, there it is. I moved that in the back. Ah. Wow. Bought my nose instead of rubbed it. Go ahead and pause that over there. So, ended up rewatching a VOD from yesterday. I never realized it, but you see me with my mouth hanging open quite a lot going, oh. Well, I found out just now, if I move my face a certain way, my camera reads it as a, an open expression. Because I was, you know, That is me literally sitting there, with my face in neutral. See, this is me smiling, just chilling out smile. Normally it's like this. That is me literally sitting there. My mouth has a drift. I did not realize that until now. Until I actually started rewatching my clips, I was like, okay, I gotta find a good one. Gotta find something good. What's wrong with my face? Oh. That's odd. Huh. And then, along with my eyebrows, if I have my eyebrows down, same expression. And then I tighten my eyebrows up, goes away. And I'm like, really? Really? Why is my facial muscles or my jaw attached to my eyebrows? Oh, I can't fix that. That is what it is. It's weird. But it is what it is. So, I had gathered around four stories. Okay? 4. Hey. Nope. There we go. 4. To go ahead and read off. Now, some people are like, you know, why don't you do... I'm like, hey, I don't know if even this one's going to do any good, so... There's a lot of fun with this, but at the same time, it's one of those I have to limit things because I don't know how well it'll work. 2, I don't really want to invest in things and be like, ha ha ha, I've gone ahead and looked into this stuff and done this, and it's like, really wasn't that great anyway. But some people have been honestly saying for a good while now that I should do readings like this and I should go into depth and have fun with it. No, that's cute. So that's what I'm... Oh, not top chat, live chat. Ooh, I didn't think to check that. Ooh, that's bad. Right, YouTube, now you're on live chat. There we go. So, what I'm probably going to do with this... Alright. So, I heard you. Chair. Chair sitting over here making clicking noises just because I rotate. But, let me focus. Essentially what I want to do is I want to do a few of these stories. Find out how they do, edit them. I had an idea that maybe one of the things I could have done, or could do, is an editing stream. It'll be boring as hell. Maybe it'll be fun, maybe it won't be. But essentially what I would do is pull open these recordings and just go through them bit by bit. Doesn't matter. Good, bad, meh. Do Reaper or Audio Master? whatever it's called that I have. And what I will do is I will go ahead and go through all of that in its own little thing. Pull up all 4 stories or whatever else, and I will start going through them. And I'll chop and I'll chop, I'll chop, I'll chop, space it out and be like, okay, cool. Fundamental story, this one part, and then go from there. And by the time I finish, hopefully, I'll have like all 4 done, or at least just 1 done. And then I will go ahead and put that out on YouTube as a finished thing. Because the most current thing that's done is the Crooked Man. I had a link for it. So, oh right, over here. I'll actually turn that on real quick, because I'm actually really proud of it. It turned out really well. Pause. Ha! Faster than you. What was I doing? Yeah, I have my stuff on all 3 monitors. What is that called? Browser. YouTube? I want to put a question mark. I might break it. Perfect. Okay. Plant you firmly over chat. Oh, wait. No, browser source includes ads, doesn't it? Oh well. Ooh. Can I pause this? I'll second that, I'll wait. maybe a browser source isn't what I want to do. Hang on a minute. Window capture. Was that it? I can't see. Thank you for putting that like right over the top of my head. Yeah, you can see some of my bookmarks and I'm using Opera. Okay. That... Oh. Yeah, you're ruining things. Okay. So. Theater mode, everything looks good. Can I just, like... minimize? No. Sorry, oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. YouTube, automatic. Well, that could have been really bad if I pulled up like any of my other windows. Okay. And I just realized it still covered my face. Alright, there we go. Alright. Let's get on with it. Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Please hold that discretion if you are willing to proceed with this video. Thank you for your understanding, and please stay safe. Oh, there. Ah! Oh wait, can I just... There was a crooked man. The crooked man was tired. His aching bones grew weary. A longing for death he had acquired. His mind filled with thoughts so eerie. He wondered why he was the only one to writhe. In a crooked place he called home, his body cut by the reaper's scythe. Unable to leave the room to roam, they never told the story of how it all began, or how he cursed the home with pain and strife. For he was the crooked man, and he ended his crooked life. To this day he roams the halls, whistling a crooked tune, trapping his prey within the walls. He swears to find the perfect one soon. There was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile, and he found a crooked sixpence against a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat, a
caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a crooked little house. But the crooked man was sad, and once he had a thought. Why should he be crooked, and others, they were not? Everything was worthless. He heaved a great sigh, and he went and found a rope and tied it to the sky. Upon a chair he stood, his eyes were blank and dead. Without another thought, he went and hung his head. Now the story's not yet over, for this tale is mythed and old. Go hide under the covers, there's something not yet told. There was once a crooked man, and a crooked smile. Now if you've lived his life, he'll send you through a trial. He lives for your torment, makes it full of strife, and he won't be content until he takes your life.
Yarr. Had a lot of fun with that one. That took a little bit to get through, but that is currently on my YouTube. I have that up as the main video so that anyone coming by can at least see it. Coming for a visit or anything else. I can put a link in the description. I will. It seems rather funny to say that because it's just like there's no point in doing that. As hard as I would like to sell it, there's no point in doing it. So, fun part is that is what I was talking about. I can go full hog on that thing and just go like, okay, we're gonna buckle down, we're gonna find that free media and put all that in here and really do it up. Or I can go ahead and make it workable and put it out there as a just audio thing to listen to, no fancy edits, nothing additional onto it. Maybe some ambience, but that would be about it. Nothing else really extreme and nothing else too drastic of a change. Because the last thing I really want people to do is I want them to play it. Oh, I have the music muted. Fuck it. And have an issue with it because they don't like it. Because it's too distracting to have everything going on. Because it's kind of a visual thing, but then it's also an audio thing. So I get that. And I kind of want to keep up on a little bit of that. So I know that a lot of people would have fun with it. But you guys get the idea of what I'm going for. Okay. So the other thing I have to remember to do is when I am doing stuff like this, I have to remember that I need to actually take not a screenshot, marker. Make a marker on Twitch when I change over to a transition so people know. That was valuable feedback. I never thought of that. And I literally have a button that says, hey, what is this? Oh, it's a marker with description. What is this? Oh, it's a marker. Well, what does that do? It's for when the mods have something going on, they can mark it for anyone else who's coming in. Now, I have all the YouTube or the alerts essentially muted, and when we go over to the other channel here for reading, I'm gonna have them all muted. I'm gonna make sure I go through and mute them all before we begin, so that way there's no interruptions, there's no hello there. There's not gonna be any of that, okay? It's gonna suck, but I don't want to have a bunch of crap going on while I am trying to record. Audio-wise or other. Now, I do know that, obviously, this AC unit it kicks on at the most inopportune time, but it's on for a reason. It is currently 80 degrees in my apartment. It's a wee bit toasty. Let's see here. For everyone else who I know is not here, 80 in Celsius. It is currently 26.6 degrees Celsius. Yes. Yes, it is hot. So I am running my AC currently at 80 degrees, because if it gets any higher than that, I will just explode into sweat, and then there's no saving me. And it would be miserable. Oh my goodness, I did that yesterday. I was up to like 1 a.m. Today's been a long day. I woke up at 5. I was like, today's gonna be tough. Maybe I should call in sick. Nah, you feel fine. Let's go. All right. Get to work, and I'm like, ooh, today's gonna be tough. Luckily, today was a day that we didn't do much. I did my stuff that I needed to do, and then it was just a very chill day of relax. It's Tuesday. Don't worry about it. Just chill today. I'm like, do I look that bad? No, you look fine. Why? Okay. You have no idea. I didn't tell him that I've only been up for, I only had 4 hours of sleep. I was like, no. We're calling it good there, my friend. So, that's what we'll do. We did it. It worked out. Okay. Let's see here. I'm a bit nervous. I've never done something like games. Fuck, that's easy. Let me sit down and play a game with you. Let me read you a book. That's different. That really is. So, do you guys now? You know what? Now that I think on it, did I ever? No, I guess you guys really wouldn't care about that. It is good to know, though. I think I never really asked where a lot of you guys see my streams from. Be that YouTube or Twitch or anywhere else. Do you guys happen to watch any of my stuff from any of those other sites, or is it just mainly built in Discord? Like, where do you guys watch my stuff mainly? As I'm now looking around. I'm trying to think, because I want to advertise in kind of some places, but it's also one of those ones where I don't want to overreach. You know, when they have that fun little thing where they're like, yeah, go ahead and advertise. Like, but really? Because there was a few in here that I was looking at. I was like, maybe. Let's see here. I'll mute real quick so I can type, because I have my loud keyboard in front of me because it's smaller. I hate it when the hyperlinks don't properly generate. You know? Nothing really worse than that. Oh, there it is. I was say, oh, that's good to know. My stuff didn't load in. There we go. Cool. All right. Good there. Now let's kick it on over. Put a marker. No, I'll jump over and hit a marker. Try this out. Gotta find the marker. There we go. Ah. So. Readjust myself. As you see, I'm sitting over here in this corner, and I'm really closer. I want to be a little more intimate. Wah. Yeah, but I stick my tongue out when I'm thinking of things. Adjust that real quick. Okay. Got a little bottle of water here. I got sparkling water that tastes funky over there. A couple other bottles of water that I left in here from the other day, from when I was playing. Okay. Let me see here. So I've got that over here. Don't need that tab open. We do need this one for YouTube. Okay. I am, like I said, I am stalling a bit. Stream alerts are off. Text to type is off. Sound alerts are muted. Blurb is muted. Don't test me, Blurb. Okay. It's just you and me. And all that weirdness in between. Okay, so we've got those going. I'll bring you closer. Now, we are kind of in the ASMR-y kind of way. Let me go ahead and... There we go. Crack my neck a little. Okay. I have to remember not to look at this screen. Look at this screen. Right. That screen. It's going to be a little bit harder. Actually, let me scoot myself over. Okay. We shouldn't have an issue. Should I? Yeah. A little bit of warm-ups. Yeah, that's something they don't ever tell you. So if you ever jump into a stream where you hear something like, shit, who was it? Scarlet. That's what it was. Scarlet from Neji Sanji. One of her streams she was starting out on, and her entire thing was you heard her going, and just all kinds of cute noises. She was actually doing vocal warm-ups, and a lot of people understood that. Be surprised by good people who didn't know that. But yeah, that was her doing vocal warm-ups, and they're like, oh, she's just being cute and derpy before a screen. No, she knows what she's doing. She's doing vocal warm-ups so that she can talk well. Actually, a lot of streamers do that. You don't notice it because usually that's why they have their length in the start of the stream being so long. It's what they should be doing is starting up. Some are actually doing warm-ups because they want to talk for a long time and they want to be sure that they don't burn out their throat too early on. Some of them are literally waking up in the morning and going, oh yeah, rolled out of bed and turned on stream. Let's get going. No, not here. We're at the end of the workday. Nah, I've been yelling above machinery. I have been dealing with all kinds of stuff. Me doing warm-ups? Yeah, that's needed. But, oh boy. Ah, there we go. I put my chair into a divot. Cool. But it became needed. I just realized I could have just moved my phone instead of leaving where it's at. But, you know, why would I do that? Why would I be smart about this? So, Twitch and YouTube, you guys are back there. You guys are in front of me. So, my lovelies. I know how weird that sounded. I know. I don't need to hear about it later. I know. The first story, I wrote about a man in the closet. I wrote a book. I wrote the book. Yeah, this is already going to be an issue. I wrote the book about the man in the closet. A little frog on there. Yes, yes, I am still nervous in trying to do this because I want to do it clean. But then again, I could just do a recording now or stream now and go back and master them depending on what you guys like. Ooh. That sounds like a good idea because I could put up a poll and be like, what did you guys like more? Story one, two, three, or four? I like that. And then I can master the one I like or you guys like. Yeah. All right. Good plan. The thoughts that keep you up at night. Yes. Yes, yes. Let's get down to it then, shall we? We're going to need to dig a little deeper. Yes. 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 Oh, I haven't done that in a long time. Yes. Yes, my lady. Yes, my lord. We must commence with the operation. The time is nigh. I wrote the book about the man in the closet. I swear he doesn't hurt good families. Posted by posted by user Scary Max. A few years ago, I wrote a book about Peter Nash called The Man in the Closet. Unfortunately, due to a lawsuit from his victims' families, the publisher ultimately pulled the book from the store shelves and removed the digital version from Amazon. Given what I found out today, I feel it's in the community's best interests for my interview with the killer to be shared as widely as possible. For your own safety, please read the following excerpt. January 15th, 2017. Interviewer. I'd like to go back to something you mentioned during one of our sessions about your childhood. You said you were hiding. You said hiding became an addiction. Your word. Can you talk a bit more about that? Nash. When my dad got to drinking or getting high, he loved hitting on me and my siblings. And then, like I said, there came a day where he beat my mother half to death. And after that, she insisted on going on like nothing was wrong. Like we're a normal family. But if I was ever out there in the living room watching TV or reading or whatever, it was always with the knowledge that it might break apart at any moment. That he'd run in and start tossing furniture, throwing punches. At some point, I couldn't relax anymore, but in a dark closet. At least there, I had some chance he wouldn't find me, that I'd be safe. Interviewer. Until one day. Nash. Until one day, I wasn't safe. He came home like usual, except my mom had taken my sisters out for ice cream in town. But my dad, he just kept tearing the place apart, looking for someone. Me, I guess. And then he finally found me. But this time, I wasn't going to get hit again. You'd taken the hunting knife into the closet with you. I hadn't planned to use it. Not really. Just knew I felt safer holding it. But you did use it. Oh, yes, I did. The first time was improvisation, of course, but it felt absolutely right. Right away, I I'll always treasure the look on my father's face. It was just perfect. My best work. Really. I think I think everyone in after that was a pale imitation. Fortunately, of course, they were all special in their own way. But that first one, you didn't kill again for a long time after that. No, I wanted to, but I was also trying to resist it. I hid though. Lots of hiding.
In your same closet?
No, lots of closets around town. It became kind of a game to me. I'd watch people coming and going from a home, learning their patterns. Eventually, when I was sure no one was home, I go inside, find a nice closet, something not too big. There was a certain pleasure in contorting myself into a small space. It was part of the game, I guess.
And then what?
Then I'd just listen. Sometimes I'd stay a few hours, sometimes longer. I'd let the family come home, just listen to their conversations. I'd always try to pick the nicest looking families. Maybe I was hoping for a facade, that they'd come home, scream bloody murder at each other. Some did, of course, but a lot of them were just as nice at home as they are or as they were out in the street.
And they made you feel...
You sound like my psychiatrist.
Sorry, I'm just trying to understand your motive at this stage.
I was jealous, I suppose. Resentful. But I was still young. My feelings hadn't hardened into anything real yet. Or anything real, yes. I was just an observer.
Were you ever caught?
Once or twice. I was a fast runner. I'd go to the neighborhoods pretty far from my own. Nothing came of it.
At what point did that escalate into horror?
I suppose at some point, sitting in those dark closets, I started making rules. This probably goes back to when I was a kid, fantasizing about leaping out of that closet, fighting my dad. But it became like, okay, there are rules to this. As long as this family is all nice to each other, I'll let them live. Or as long as they don't open the closet, I won't stab them with my knife. Or if they somehow figured out I was there, tried to run away, that was no good. Then the families violated those rules. It felt okay to kill them. They weren't nice families anymore.
How many times did this scenario play out?
At least 50. I'd say about half the time. The family really did turn out to be nice. No one opened the closet. Then, after they'd gone to bed at night, I just let myself out the front door. Other times, people started yelling at each other, and I'd have to come out and teach them a lesson.
And if they opened the closet door?
It's not nice to go looking for someone who doesn't want to be found. I had to teach them a lesson too.
In their lawsuit, the victim's family argued I'd done a good job of humanizing Nash. They were worried that he'd be able to appeal for a lighter sentence or a less secure prison facility. To me, the accusations were ridiculous. I'd basically just printed out interviews verbatim without any editorial intrusion. Of course, maybe you'd like to argue that I was throwing out softball questions. To that, I'd say I'd need to build up trust with Nash. He didn't like to be put on the spot or questioned too harshly. To get the truth, I had to be his friend. I will say, I've come to regret getting too chummy with him towards the end. It got to a point where he started asking questions about my wife and kids. Maybe I've been lulled to thinking he was harmless. Or maybe I'm just a proud dad. But I couldn't help but gushing about them. Elliot's awesome passing on the soccer field. The way Greta meticulously organized her dolls even though she was only 6. I've been thinking a lot about those conversations. I've been thinking about those conversations a lot today. Normally. Today, we were just sitting down with the kids to play Settlers of Catan when I got a call from Todd Wells over at the state prison. Normally, I ignored all distractions during the family game day, but this was no ordinary call. I hadn't heard from Wells since a few weeks after my book on the man in the closet had come out. And that conversation had been unpleasant, to say the least.
Mr. Wells, it's nice to hear.
I'm making this.
Oh, that was him talking. I'm sorry.
Mr. Wells.
So nice to you. I'm making this as a courtesy call. We're holding a press conference in 30 minutes. There's been an incident during Mr. Nash's prison transfer to the new state facility in Belmont last night. There was a bad traffic accident and an explosion. We thought we accounted for all the detainees, dead and alive, but you know Mr. Nash. He's got it hiding.
Is he?
We haven't located him.
You haven't?
If you want to find out more, watch the press conference. I made this call as a courtesy. God bless, and good luck.
He hung up. I began to look around the room. All of the closets were closed. We were a fairly messy household, and a lot of doors usually get open. Was it possible he closed them all? I tried to remember if I'd shut them as part of my tidying last night. Then I thought over the events of the morning. We'd all gone out for a big breakfast at the Black Bear Diner, and then hit the mall to get new tap shoes for Greta and shin guards for Elliot. We'd been gone for hours. I looked over at my wife, who was walking over to the dinner table with a big bowl of popcorn. In the meantime, Greta was carefully arranging the game tiles into stacks, and Elliot was setting up a playlist on his phone. And Greta reached for the table. As Greta reached for the table with the popcorn, Greta groaned.
Did you put pepper on it? Oh God, I can't do a girl voice. My voice doesn't do that.
I'll try.
Did you put popcorn on it? Oh God, it sounded like an alien. Did you put popcorn on it? Of course. We all like it that way. Oh, I kind of blended into the wife. Did you put pepper on it? Of course, my wife said. We all like it that way. I used to like it that way,
said Greta, crossing her arms.
No, I don't.
As they began to argue, I kept looking around the house, trying to listen for any hint of the sounds in the closet. Nothing so far. I noticed my hands shaking a bit in the way I couldn't control. Please, I said, joining everyone at the table. Let's try not to argue right now.
Why?
Said Greta, crossing her arms.
Since when did we make it through family game day without fighting? You and Mom are the worst, you know.
That's not true, I lied, trying to not imagine the sound of a closet door creaking open. You watch and see. This is going to be the best family game day ever. Let's all make a big goal to get along, okay? Greta rolled her eyes and went back to arranging the tiles. Part of me thought of running, but you're not supposed to run. Maybe I could have pretended I had something to show them out in the front yard. I don't know. Maybe that would have been too obvious a lie. And so, a few minutes later, we started the game. I have to admit, I've been a bit distracted this whole time. When I get anxious, writing calms me down. As the game progressed, I've been alternating between diffusing little arguments and tapping away at my keyboard. I've told them something important for work has come up, which it has, but I don't think they appreciate how distracted I've been. Maybe if you find this, we're not around anymore. They'll at least know what became of us. Maybe you can finally put my book out again and attach this as some kind of epilogue. But my hope is that you're reading this, and I'm still doing fine. Maybe every closet in the house is empty. Or even better,
Maybe we'll play the whole game without arguing about someone hoarding over the resources, or cheating to build the longest road, or blocking someone without winning out of spite. I wrote the book about the man in the closet. I swear he doesn't hurt good families. Yeah, that's pretty spooky. I would say so. You know, I would say that's pretty good. Yeah, I know. I try to adjust because I got that screen over there, that chat over there, everything else over here. You can't see my hand. This screen is dedicated to something else, and I was gonna move everything to this screen, but OBS do not cooperate with me, my friend. You do not. I do not know why. So I'm working on a couple of things while we're doing this. It's been fun. Boy, that was the first story. That honestly is going to make me a little suspicious of my closets for a while. So yeah, that's pretty good. Wasn't a long one. That wasn't too bad. Go ahead, just where is that? Ah. Close that one. That was the first one. Don't save. Don't need to save. All right, here's number 2. Ah, perfect. It's kind of tiny font. I have to fix that. At least to me. But then again, it's on a smaller. No, it's on a smaller screen. One sec. Time for a drink. At one point in time, that was cold water. That is not. That has been sitting at 80-degree weather for like 12 hours, 24 hours. That is warm. That water is not to be trusted. Ooh. All right. Well, I'm still going to drink it because I poured it. At least now I know it's good. All right. We're going to go ahead and go on to the next one. I did a couple of voices in that one. I really hope this one isn't. I didn't look at a lot of these beforehand. A lot of them I saw the upvotes and I was like, ooh, grab. And then I saw some older ones like, ooh, grab, because they were a lot of fun. Now, I know this is weird. I'll make sure I put another marker to the second story, and it's a bit weird, but I owe a lot of these stories and this idea to Persona. Honestly, is one of the bigger creators who's just really been pushing me to do something. She's mentioned it quite a number of times that I should go out and tell stories and do these things because it's a good fun time and I have a good voice for it. The last time I did the Crooked Man video that she showed it, she said that and was like, you know what? I think I might have to do that. Might have to do some gear changes. See, I love playing video games. I love games. But I don't think people like to watch me to play games. A lot of people just like to listen to me. A lot of people, from what I've been hearing, they don't watch me. Not live anyway. They like to watch it. They like to listen to my content. Not watch. Listen. Because they have me turned on in the background. I had to stop jumping my leg. My arm is on the table. Because they're doing something. I apparently make great background for being in an empty space. Empty space. Be it an apartment, house, cooking. I think a few of them have even said that they usually have me turned on for their pets. That's why I mentioned it earlier. It was a fun time, but a little weird. But apparently I'm better off being offline content creator than online. Well, I don't really jive with that. I want to have fun with people in live time, not read an old message. It's a lot to keep up on, you know? But I could do that. So what I'm thinking is, based around this, I might switch over to doing more story reads, maybe 1 to 2 times a week. In the background, I'll be editing things and putting out a video on YouTube, which would be a more complete horror story, maybe obviously once or twice a week, depending on when I can work on it. And then go from there. Like, I could gauge in chat, what do you guys like? The first of 3, the first of 4 horror videos or stories, and we go from there. And then maybe at some time I do game streams and we have fun there. Sounds like a doable option. It's a bit of a change, but still doable. So I might do that. So don't be surprised if you see me doing more audio stuff and it changes up, but I'm still me. Just finding what actually fits, you know? That's the big thing. I want to find what fits, and as much as I like gaming, clearly there's not a not a very big well for gaming for me. Let me adjust this real quick. Glad I had that muted. That would have been weird here. Yeah, but like I was saying, I love gaming. Gaming's hit or miss with me. Unless you guys want to watch me grind away on what is that called? Genshin for a while. Seems to be one of the few games I actually want to play for a long ass time other than Dead Space. And let's face it. No one wants to see me play Dead Space for hours on end. We know this. We are very much aware that no one wants to watch us play Dead Space for hours. Well, you saw a blip of things there. Not really. Didn't see shit. Alright. So, right, I was going to put a marker. There we go. The story is, someone snaps their fingers outside my window every night at 3 a.m. The neighbors warned me not to look at him. Posted by user Robo Booty. Row your boat, row. Row your booty. Oh, it's a fun username. You slow things down. I'm getting a little too happy, a little too excited. This is my slowed down voice. Then this is my normal speeding talk voice, where I actually pitch it a lot higher. You could probably tell on just how much higher that is when I'm talking, and what it turns into when I slow down. Really get into it. There we go. Oop, hang on a minute. There we go. I started to drift. Too much head movement. Sorry about that. Let me see here. I heard it. I heard it my first night in the new house. Someone walked down the street, snapping their fingers, both hands in the middle of the night. Shit. I had forgotten to close my curtains. Earlier that day, an older couple came over with a saran wrap plate of muffins and a warning. They told me that every night, at 3 a.m., someone walks outside their house, snapping his fingers. They said that I should never, under any circumstances, look at that man. If I did, I would sorely regret it. When I asked them what happened if you looked at him, they didn't say a word. Instead, they just looked at each other, and the husband shook his head. Now I was in my room, and the snapping man was on his way. I was just about to get out of bed and shut the curtains, when suddenly the next snap came right outside my bedroom window. I let out a startled cry. The house was a good 20 feet away from the public sidewalk and separated by a garden gate and then the rows of bushes. Somehow, he had cleared that distance in less than a second. I covered my face with a pillow and curled into a ball. I whispered prayer. Escaped my lips. I had hoped that God was stronger than whatever was outside. That thing started walking back and forth, just going past my window, past my house each time. His snapping fingers started out slow, rhythmic, but got faster, till each time it reached a feverish speed, and they sped up. The snaps grew louder, much louder than any sound a human snap could make, to the point that they rattled the glass in its pain and drowned out every other sound. I began to shake and shouted for Jesus to protect me. Part of me wanted to desperately jump out the bed and face whatever monster was outside. But I thought back to my neighbor's visit and resisted the urge. It wasn't even a warning that persuaded me. It was the look on their face when I asked what happened to those who chose to look. They both turned white as ghosts, like the blood had been drained from their heads, and their face twisted into nauseating fear at the memory of their neighbors who had not heeded their warnings. It was the kind of instant animal reaction you cannot hide when you try. So I knew whatever happened to those who looked, it would be terrifying. Even so, it was difficult to lie there defenseless in bed while the snaps grew so loud that I thought my eardrums might burst. I tried stuffing the corners of my pillows down my ears, but it did nothing to quiet their incessant roar. And I'm going to stop snapping because my fingers hurt. I kept that up for a good while. There was silence. The noise stopped so suddenly it was almost startling. From outside, gravely reptilian voice. Not in a whisper, but in a low, quiet tone. Good night. Footsteps went away from the window, back up to the road in the direction they came. It wasn't until the footsteps trailed off that I noticed the sound of someone crying. After a moment, I realized it was me. I was crying. No, sobbing, uncontrollably. The experience had been absolutely terrible, and frightened in a way I could not put into words. The worst part was that the louder snaps got, the more I wanted to look at who was doing them. It wasn't just a morbid curiosity. It was almost as if the sound was beckoning me. Like an audible anglerfish was inviting me to look into its razor-filled jaws. I got up, without opening my eyes, and shut the window curtains. It took 4 more hours to fall asleep. And even then, only because the sun was starting to rise, and the world felt safe again. After a while, I developed a certain strategy for coping with my nightly visitor. At first, I tried putting in earplugs before going to bed, but that didn't do anything to cover up the sound of the snapping. Worse still, the goodbye at the end was always as clear as if my ear up against the wall. I asked around, and some people in the neighborhood let me know that you could help drown out the noise by leaving a fan on throughout the night. It sounded dumb at first, but I was desperate enough to try anything at that point. Sure enough, it worked. The snapping was still loud, but endurable. And after a week, I was sleeping through the whole thing. In order to make sure I never accidentally looked out the window, I tied a curtain shut and put a box over the sill for an additional layer of protection. I also constructed a wall of cardboard around the box of my bed closest to the window, so that if I happened to look over in the middle of the night, and the box had in some way fallen off, and the curtains were open somehow, I still wouldn't see him. My guy is, thinking ahead. He's trying to do his best, but we'll find out if his best is good enough. A tripwire? Oh my god. I even put a tripwire in front of the window, so that if I were to try and unblock the window in my sleep, I would fall over and wake up. I know, it's a lot of precautionary stuff. But what would you do in my situation? I was determined to not be like one of those dumbasses in a scary movie, who knows there's an imminent threat and just keeps going about things as usual. And when the monster gets them, everyone in the audience thinks, I told you so. Fuck that. Once I fine-tuned my nighttime defense strategies, my life started to get back to normal. I joined a book club, settled to my new job. I even became friends with a couple of coworkers. One was a goofy guy named Tyler, whose stupid, fun to be around kind of way, and the other was a beautiful girl I was flirting with named Amanda. Everything was going great until I had a dumb idea to invite both of them over for a little party at my place. We started off with a board game, pizza and beer, and then more beer, and then some pizza, and finally some more beer. At one point, Tyler got up to use the pisser, as he put it, and I seized the opportunity to capitalize on the liquid courage I had in my system to make a move on Amanda. I was just building up to it when Tyler shouted, "What the fuck is up with the stuff in your room?" I froze. I had gone so long without waking up at 3 a.m., I had half forgotten about the entire thing. Or forgotten about the thing that roamed the neighborhood. I looked down at my watch. 2:55. Shit. I had let time get away from me. I ran up into my bedroom, and Amanda followed. Oh, there we go. Little heart, there we go. Don't touch it. Get away from the window, I shouted at Tyler, who was peeling back the box on the windowsill. He and Amanda stared at me with their mouths gaping open. I knew I had to explain myself. I told them all of the crazy things that come by at the night at 3 a.m., and how incredibly dangerous it looked to look at him. I was expecting them to think I was crazy, but how that wasn't exactly how they reacted. No. Thanks, Twitch, for breaking my conversation about an ad. Needed to see that. Whoa, Tyler gasped. So you're like, neighborhood is haunted? Well, yeah, I guess technically. It's not a huge deal as long as you want to stay away from that window, I said. Like, you've never seen the guy that does this? He asked me. I shook my head. How do you know it isn't just some random loser playing a prank? Trust me. If you heard it, you know it wasn't anything human. I told him, looking at me with a flash of excitement. What time is it? He asked. I checked my watch again. 2:58, I stuttered, and then looked at him in terror. I did not want them to witness the snapping. For some reason, it just felt dangerous to have them around. I was worried something unexpected would happen, something out of my control, like Amanda tripping and accidentally ripping down the boxes on the window, or Tyler being Tyler and trying to drunk fight the monster, and they were two highly intoxicated young adults, and we were shared a passing resemblance to a party. Basically, I was playing with fire instead of a fuel tank. Alright. We need to get out of here. Let's go back to the living room. Come on. I blurted and tried to herd those two out of my room. But Tyler wouldn't budge. There we go. No fucking way, man. Now that we're here, I want to hear this thing. I'm staying. I could tell he meant it, and I didn't know what I could do to convince him to leave. Before I could even think to say anything else, I heard it. The snaps were starting down at the end of the street. He's coming, I said, mostly to myself. Tyler and Amanda fell silent and strained, listening we strained to listen to the sound of his arrival. I don't hear, Amanda started to say, but she was cut off by a sudden sound of snapping that came from right outside the window. I groaned. He was here. Tyler, who stood facing the window, fell backwards onto the floor. Holy shit, he giggled. It's real. I didn't like the look on Tyler's face. He was eyeing up the window, up and down like it was a roller coaster he was about to ride. A plunge into adventure that he was ready to take. Come over here. Come over here, Tyler. It's not safe by the window, I said, but my words were lost on him. Tyler, get over here, Amanda yelled. The snapping started to get louder, and Tyler's visage changed from excited to afraid. However, that glimmer of adventure still shone in his eye. Why can't we look at him? Tyler shouted over the growing noise. He started to move, hesitantly, towards the rattling window. I tried to shout an answer. The snapping was already deafening, and it drowned out any noise, any sound of my voice. Where's that fan? I looked around desperately for a fan that could quiet the all-consuming noise. I could have sworn I left it in the usual place. Amanda covered her ears and crouched down to her knees. I could tell by her face that she was crying. For a second I bent down to comfort her, and when I looked up, I just barely caught Tyler's mouth moving. I'm not the best reader. I'm not the best lip reader, but I could tell he'd said something like, I'm going to open the window. As he reached to pull the box off this windowsill, I sprang up from the floor, across the room towards him, and shouted with all of my might for him to stop. But it was too late. Just as I was about to reach him, Tyler undid the curtains and laid eyes on the terrible thing outside. I shielded my own eyes with my elbow just in time. But that didn't stop me from hearing Tyler's screams, because just as soon as Tyler opened the curtains, the snapping stopped. The thing outside the window let out a deep, animal moan of pleasure, and then we could all hear was a mortifying, blood-curdling wail. It came from Tyler. It sounded like a mix between a terrible human shriek and the squeal of a pig being slaughtered. I felt bad for him, but at the same time, I didn't know what I could do to help without putting myself in danger. Thankfully, the screaming soon subsided, and after a few seconds of silence, I decided to open my eyes. Tyler was sitting in the corner, slumped over like a drunk. His mouth was turned to a slight smile, and drool poured from the corner. Tyler, I began to walk to him. He looked over. When I said his name, I saw his eyeballs were all white. They didn't have pupils, or irises, nor any veins. They were pure white, just like two cue balls stuck inside his skull. He smiled wider. Tyler, are you all right? I asked. I'm fine, he said dryly as he stood up. I looked at the Watcher, and he has helped me truly see. He took a step towards us. I think you two should look. I promise you won't regret anything. He took another step forward and reached a hand out in our direction. Just take a quick peek. I won't tell anyone. At that moment, a dull thud came from the window. Tyler went on talking and staggering towards us. I put a protective arm out in front of Amanda, in a feeble attempt at shielding her from whatever terribleness had entered the body of our friend. You should take a look. It's not so bad. It's not like what they've told you.
There was another thud against the window. It sounded like something was pounding on the glass.
I promise, I wouldn't lie to friends,
Tyler said. Thud.
Do I look like I'm hurt?
I wanted to answer that he didn't look hurt, but they wouldn't do much. There was something very wrong with him. Looking out the window had changed him. Tyler, what is that thing doing? I asked him tentatively as I took a cautious step backwards. Thud.
Who? Tyler asked me.
That thing outside.
Oh, he's banging his head on the glass. He says that once someone took a look at him, or once someone looks at him, he's allowed to come in.
As he said those words, there was another thud against the glass, making a cracking noise. I turned to look at Amanda, and said the last words I would ever speak to her.
Get out now!
She took off running. I followed close after.
Behind us, I heard Tyler call out.
This time in his normal voice, as if the real Tyler had fought his way out of the prison that was in his mind.
Wait, take me with you. I can't see.
I paused and almost turned back. But that was when the window shattered, and I knew that going back from him meant certain doom for us both. It was hard to leave my friend behind like that, but I told myself there is nothing I could do. It would have been like one drowning person trying to save another. So I took off. By the time I had got through the front door, Amanda was already out of sight. Her car wasn't in the driveway, so I assumed she made it to safety. My car was in the garage, and the keys were up in my room, so I ran away on foot. New screams and the sounds of tearing flesh echoed out into the night as I crossed the lawn and scampered down the sidewalk. There was so much adrenaline in my system that running was not difficult. Even though I was severely out of shape, I ran until my frantic legs carried me to a public place. A fast food restaurant that I had never noticed before. Thank God it was open. I burst inside and collapsed on the floor. I burst inside and collapsed on the sticky tiled floor where a worker had just mopped. He looked slightly annoyed, but not the least bit shocked. I guess the graveyard staff at a fast food place see a lot of crazy shit. As soon as I regained my breath, I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. I told the operator that someone had broken in and attacked my friend, and that I hoped there was still a chance for Tyler. But I knew in my gut it would be over for him. The operator asked where I lived, and when I gave her the address, her tone completely changed.
Did he look outside the window?
She asked. I'm guessing emergency services were already aware of the thing that wandered my neighborhood.
Yeah, he did.
I sniffed.
Well, I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do for your friend. We will try to recuperate most of your belongings in the morning. But you cannot go back to that house. Do you have somewhere else you can stay?
She asked. I was speechless. There was nothing I could do, or there was nothing they could do. What was that thing that went snapping outside my window every night? How was it so terrifying that even 911 wouldn't mess with it? Eventually, I lied to her and said I could stay at a relative's house. But truthfully, I had nowhere to go. My only two friends were in the area were Tyler and Amanda, one of whom was literally in the belly of the beast, and the other wasn't answering my calls. I bought a cheeseburger and a soda and spent the rest of the night lying in a booth at that fast food place. Now I live in a new city, in a new neighborhood. I have a good job, and am even making new friends at work. Things are going great, but I'm starting to get a little worried. My next door neighbor called
My next door neighbor just called and said that they want to come over to discuss some community guidelines. They said it has something to do with locking your doors every time there's a full moon. I swear, I can't take any more of this stuff. Why can't I just find a decent place to live? Oh, that actually had a good turn. That one was actually pretty good. I had a nice, oh wow, the AC kicked on just after the story. That's awesome. That was a good one. Readjust myself a little bit here. Scratch. I don't know if you could hear that. My back. If anything, I might turn this into a standing stream. Okay, so now we have that, and that is number 2. Number 2 on our list. Don't save because all I did was change the font size. Ah. Oh, that face. So yeah, this is fun. A little different, but fun. Okay. I do have to remember I need to pause, clear my throat, and get a drink. Well, warm water's gone. And now I just have the other stuff. Well, that's fine. There we go. Are you okay over there? Good. Can you hear me now? Good. For people who don't know, that was an old, oh god, what was it? Verizon commercial? I think it was Verizon at the time. And that guy moved off to, I think he got bought by Sprint. Huh. It's one of those times where I'm sitting here going, oh. Not because of the reading, but because of the amount of reading. I haven't done this much reading in a very long time. Like, there have been some scripts and stuff, but I usually break those up rather well. Like, section it out, make sure it's cut, do really fast. Not like, okay, here's this entire 4-page thing. Okay, you're gonna read it out one go. Alright, I guess. Actually, no, I take it back. The longest time I've done one of these. Goodness, water, you giving me the burps. The closest I have done something like this would have been the coffee shop game. The cursed coffee shop game. We all remember that thing. And all the voices I was making up. From the demonic speakers of to even more guttural noises to really high to standard and my normal voices and higher voices. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, that should have been the monster. Oh, no. Fucking elbow on the loose. There's an SCP out there. What's it sound like? Oh! Do we really have to fear that thing? I mean, it sounds like an 8 elbow. We should, I think. Wait, sounds like what? Oh! Sounds like Chewbacca's having a bad day. That'd be good. I'm gonna have to save that voice. Oh, Ayano, you were so lucky I looked at that for a moment there. Like I said, I've got all those voice things muted, man. So, yeah. Sorry. I'll try and redeem that or return that to you. But yeah, no, what I started to do was only sound alerts. Ouch, sad. I'm sorry, bud. Oh, apparently I can't refund that one, but you know what you know what I can do here is I can go ahead and reject that one, two. I should have paused redemptions. Now I know what I'm doing. Mark those two as complete. There you go. I give you a little bit of a refund for your old TTS. So, turn myself around here. There we go. So, I am doing horror story readings. I know it's weird. Oh, it's caught on the monitor. Right. So, I have just been reading for like the last hour now. Really? It's only been an hour? It feels like longer. I talked for 20 minutes. So, I have been reading horror stories, as you see. So, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. Oh. Oh. How long is each story taking me? Oh, well, no, I talked for 20 minutes and we went to the thing and I marked him. We have a weird thing. Yeah, screw it. Essentially, I'm having a fun time reading stories. And I have stories. No, I'm doing them here and I'm doing them on YouTube. To yourself? You know what? Fuck it. If no one else is here, then yes, I'm reading to myself. So the idea was that, yeah, fuck it. People were like, hey, you make a great narrator. I was like, cool. That sounds awesome. So since people were saying, hey, you make a great narrator, why don't you read some books? I decided I'd take a note out of Fiersona's book here. Because she tells me, hey, you have a great narrating voice. It's great to listen to you. How about you read some stories? And I was like, that sounds like a weird idea. A good one, but a little weird. Because what do I mainly do? I mainly play games. And then I went in my head of, well, why don't you try it? What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? What's the best that can happen? The same thing that's going on now. So I decided I would try it. And then I would put out a poll. And I would see, based on if people had listened or what they wanted, what was the best one that they liked. And what I would then do is, based on that poll, let me move this over. Now I'm not cricking my neck. I would see, based on that poll, what story was good. So I could change it into a full written story, or not written story, a narrated story. Whatever stuff I needed to add in, sound effect wise, the Foley, the finger snaps for that last one. Doing things like that. Wrap it into a full comprehensive story like The Crooked Man was. Go on from there. And then I put it out on YouTube. I figure that'd be my best bet, the most fun. Because to me, if people like listening to my stories or listening to me talk, like I said earlier, then maybe that's the path I should follow. Because everyone plays games. And as much fun as it is to play a game, there seems to be no following for me in playing games. I'll still play games. Shit, we're coming up on Genshin, the new revive, and I've heard that there's a lot of new character, or at least it's a revamp replay of old characters in one of the few chances I'll probably have to get Eula or Klee. So I'm unfortunately going to have to drop a mint on that. I've dropped it on worse. But we'll go from there and we'll find out later on. So I might do that live on stream. I haven't played Genshin for a month. You've been missing out. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good characters. But a lot of people like to listen to me. They like to listen to the videos. So I decided that, you know what? I'll go ahead and replay it. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll send you the link to that. Do. Banana none. Do. Banana none. This is the weirdest message I've ever seen. There we go. There is your YouTube link to my Crooked Man reading. So I also changed up my YouTube channel. I did a whole revamp, changed channels, just redid some things. A lot of organization. And then what I plan on doing is changing the header and maybe the icon. But for now, that's fine. But at least changing the header maybe to something else. Now that I have a program that'll let me mess with that, I can play with it. I'll find out. It'll be fun. I keep going into the deeper voice, and I don't need to. I can just keep it as is. I don't need to add the extra gravel to it, you know, that guttery tune. I can just go ahead and talk in a normal deep voice like I usually do. God, people are just weird about stuff. Huh. People are being really weird. I'm gonna have to deal with that. I should not have looked at Discord even though I was being added like 4 times because people are weird. Whatever. I see. Yes, it's a fun video. I had fun with it. So I did the recording and then Morgan Suffering 101. Yeah, when is it not? So I did the recording for that back in February. Or was it March? Might have been March. But I did the recording for this. And then I passed it off to Tyrant because one of the goals was because Fiersona was doing a few subathons. She was doing a subathon, and one of her goals was I kind of chimed in here saying, if you guys make it to, I think it was like $2,500 in this, I will fully narrate a story. Your choice, chat's choice, Fierce choice. I will narrate a story. No pay, whatever you want. Doesn't matter the length. No, not Miss Night Lady. Actually, let me link Fear. Not studio. Come on, YouTube. Work with me. Oh, cool. Or 03. No, Fiersona was the first person that I have actually collabed with. See, there's her channel. She's fun. And then let me search her videos. Because she had done a good lot of fun videos. And then I showed up to do one of them. I have no idea which one it was. It may not be the popular one. Let me see here. Oh, it's not a video. It was a live. That's right. We did this live. That's right. Oh, yeah, she had that look for a while. It's kind of tough to narrow down because she has so many really good videos. You see here. Here we go. Don't play. You meant the story. Oh, the story. Oh, well, there you go. Because I had told 4 stories in hers, and then it was after that one when I got really acquainted with her group that is that Wattpad? Oh, no, it's WordPad. Close though. I honestly, I was bouncing around on which notepad to use because this is a pain in the ass. So I used WordPad. I'm like, this sucks. This really sucks. I might have to change over to like Notepad++ or something. But one of the things that came up was she was like, hey, you should narrate. So I jumped into it. And her community thing was, like I said, if you guys do this, I will do a full narration, everything, all in one, decked out, chromed wheels. Cool. Okay. But And I was like, oh, here we go. The butt. The great butt. You have to reach that. So, they hit that shit. I think it was in like 20 minutes after I said it. They're like, yep, nope, done. It's like, oh, shit. Walked into that one. So, after they hit it, we went through a full conversation. We found out they wanted to read The Crooked Man. So, I ended up digging around and I found a couple of things of The Crooked Man. And I sent it to her mod Tyrant. He was kind enough to edit it for free as well. And then we put it all together because that's the full thing. So there's a link to that you have on there. YouTube, you guys already have it if you just go to my channel. So you're set. What story am I reading next? The next one. Oh, I'm going to have to turn sideways. Move my camera with me. All right. Now, when I'm facing this way, you guys are literally off to my side. I need you to know that. Okay. I inspect. I inspect foreclosed houses, and I'm haunted by the things people leave behind. By user Christian Wallace. I inspect foreclosed houses, and I'm haunted by the things people leave behind. I get shot at. A lot. But this isn't what scares me about this job. I'm not talking. Hang on. All right. I'm trying to. I want to put the gravel back in. There we go. But that isn't what scares me about this job. When I arrive home and see someone's burst out of their front door clutching a rifle, I know what to expect. They have something to lose. They are scared and they don't know what to do. So I tell them, I'll give them resources on fighting back. I refer them to law firms who do pro bono work, government bodies and charities that can help them get them back on their feet. I speak calmly and with empathy, and people listen. Some even thank me as they pack their things up and drive away. The suicides are harder to deal with. I get at least 3 or 4 a year. And some people who kill themselves out of spite really go all out on the spectacle. It is harder for the bank to clean up, the better. The harder it is for the bank to clean up, the better. And people assume the bank puts those houses back on the market the second it's seized. But a house can't sit forgotten for years before I'm sent to look it over. Lone bodies swinging in empty living rooms, flesh like melted candle wax from all the time they've left in open air. I found it profoundly sad. These people lay themselves out like spiteful dioramas. Yeah. These people lay themselves out like a spiteful diorama. And then no one turns up. They slit their throats while clutching their eviction notices. By the time I arrive, the blood has dried and the ink has faded. The worst ones don't just hurt themselves, but their loved ones too. A suicide pact are far more common with the elderly, but it isn't always the octogenarians. Families too. It's rare, but it does happen. A sun-baked house with drawn curtains. So much time has passed in the dry autumn heat that their skin turned paper thin. Receding lips, black toothless gums born in a rictus grin. Hell of a thing to see staring out of a crib. Ooh. There's a Bab that's dead. This might have been a really dark one to read. Each house is its own apocalypse. Its own ruined city for me to wander. The whiskey in the toilet cistern, fentanyl under the beds. Bed bills past due. And it doesn't just end with the people we kick out. These places are empty so long, you often get squatters. Usually harmless. Not always. Some have the potential to be thoroughly lethal. Stingy men and women with flinty eyes and missing teeth who come out busting out of old, moldy blankets and indoor tents, slashing box cutters wildly in the air. You could play tic-tac-toe on my forearms from all the defensive wounds. My friend's gonna try it. Wait. Try to teach you to be a brawl streamer. Oh, cool. There you go. That's pretty awesome, Ayano. Alright, let me focus here. Even when they've moved up, the things they leave behind aren't exactly safe. Fumes from homemade labs can rot your lungs, and HIV-positive needles stuffed down the sides of old sofa cushions wait to prick your fingers. And the cook gets real paranoid about... And the cooks get real paranoid about being robbed, so they like to rig their homes with traps. They get inventive with whatever's lying around. Shards of glass on springs loaded into broom handles. Trick floorboards over a box of razor blades. Shit-smeared knives hidden beneath false windowsills. Every now and then, I find a trap that's been set off. A baseball bat rigged to lash out at anyone entering the kitchen. Blood and hair dripping from bent nails hammered into the wood. No sign of the poor fucker who set it off. Just a grisly trail of gore leading out of the house into the nearby woods. Most likely a candidate for a guy who's... the most likely candidate is the guy who set the trap. These addicts stay up for days and pass out. Then, when they wake up, the first thing they do is head for their stash, not remembering what they left behind. One time, I found a guy lying a few feet away from his own trap. He kept his money in his old metal lunchbox at the back of the cupboard. And he'd rigged it so that anyone reaching in would get a hell of a surprise. The blade went in at his elbow and just below the thumb, on the knuckle of his thumb. No helping him after that. He bled out on his late mother's old, cold linoleum. What a god-awful way to go. And his lunchbox? On the ground and empty of everything worth taking. Police reckoned someone was with him when it happened. Must have gotten scared. So they took the cash and left him to die. It'd take a full month before I found him. And no one even reported him missing in the interim. You think you think the kid would be angry? But he wasn't. He just looked like he was scared. Wait. Weird transition? You think the kid would be angry, but he wasn't. He just looked like he was scared. 19, going through withdrawals, and slowly dying. And dying slowly. Curled up like a baby. One hand gripping his open wrist. You can't trap the ocean with your fist. It leaks through your fingers. The kid knew what was coming. I could see it in his eyes. Terrified. Fucking terrified. Meth is a hell of a drug. These poor guys fry their brains in the middle of nowhere. I can't even begin to imagine what they think they see out there. What visits them in the dark. Found this trailer that had once been rigged with damn near 100 traps. They weren't particularly sophisticated, but they were numerous and vicious and desperate. They circled the lone motorhome out in the middle of the desert, like an invading army made of knives. Like an invading army made of knives and bear traps, and stolen guns, even a few hastily made IEDs. It took me and a bomb squad just a week just to get to the front door. By the time we had opened it, we were all fairly certain of one simple fact. This place hadn't been rigged to keep thieves out. Whoever had set the traps had been scared of something leaving. Probably just a drug-fueled paranoia on behalf of whoever set them. But I think that something was in there waiting for us, got under our skin anyway. During the operation, we'd sometimes get shouted reports of someone moving around in the trailer, and the whole site would go to hell. Armed men and women lying on their bellies, iron sights lined up on the door, hands shaking. I guess we kept asking ourselves over and over, what's in there? Had someone so scared that they set up all these traps? When we finally got our answer, the first thing we found was the meth lab. Pretty par for the course. Less normal was the body that had been torn to fucking pieces. Halfway to dust after all the time the heat had passed, but it was strewn all about the interior. Walls, floors, ceiling. Couldn't argue that it was a natural death or a product of scavengers. Not unless the coyotes can work a lock and key. What was left of his head and torso looked like he had gone through hell. I'm hardly a forensic expert, but it looks to me like he died slowly and painfully. Missing fingers, teeth, one eye plucked out. Torture is what it made me think of. Even a stranger than all of that was what we found sat on the kitchen sink, or on the kitchen counter, next to all those broken beakers and stained chemistry equipment. A doll. Not like a kid's doll. Porcelain. Like a collector's item that had been seen better days. Scared the shit out of me when, given the circumstances and all. Couldn't shake the feeling whoever had made all those traps had done so with that in mind. Which begged the question, who was the poor guy stuck in the trailer? And what had happened to him? Cops wrote it off. Meth is a hell of a drug, so they say. We all knew that. Only I wasn't so sure. I've seen a lot of weird shit. Who knows what visited the poor guy out in the wild, so far from civilization. We get a lot of life gets lived out in the world. Out in the plains or in the forest amongst hills, far from prying eyes. You get a sense of it in my job. The sheer quality of untold stories, failed dreams, great triumphs, abandoned canvases, well-worn guitars. Heydays that came and went, or simply never came at all. Most stories follow rhythm. Some, like that doll, raise profound questions. Others aren't stories at all, so much as nightmares waiting for the next victim. The world is full of reread that one. The world is full of hidden needles, waiting for probing hands. These are rare occasions where I'll advise the bank not to sell the property. They become part of a no-go zone the government has set up around the country. I only see bits of this machinery at work. Whatever bureaucracy manages it is way over my pay grade. But there is a system in place for managing the worst of the worst. I'm not talking ghosts either. None of the examples I've given so far would be candidates. Sounds fucked up, I know. Scrub the blood, scrape the brains, pick up the shotgun shells out of the plaster. If the next family who move in there has to contend with ghosts of a few clumsy meth heads or disgruntled family owners, so be it. No. For a place to be deemed a no-go zone, it has to be way beyond recovery, an active threat to life. I'm talking about factories with bottomless holes that pump out enough radiation the government has to build a nuclear dump site just to make it a convincing cover-up. Although, this is a bit of an extreme example. Most of the time, we just blame it on radon or meth fumes and condemn it. Had this one place, a farmhouse where a family of 5 had lived for nearly 60 years. By the time I got there, the kids were adults, and the parents had been dead for a while. The children had resisted selling the family home. Tried to keep out the payments, but they had their own debts, and in the end, the bank got its pound of flesh. At a glance, the house didn't look so bad. A bit run down, sure, but my standards are low. Cracked and low. Windows were intact. No graffiti. Roof hadn't been stripped. Satellite dish was still up. From where I sat, gulping down a lukewarm bottle of water that had spent the drive tumbling around the passenger footwell, the house was relatively untouched by anything but time, or nature and time. Something about it gave me a pause. Shame. I didn't listen to the gut feeling it, telling me it was all sorts of weird, that an isolated house had gone unmolested for so long. I grabbed the keys. The sheriff had given me. I grabbed the keys the sheriff had given me and went inside hoping for an easy gig. 3 hours later, I was crawling out of a kitchen window I'd smashed. The shirt and skin on my back cut to ribbons. I stumbled to my car, chest near bursting with the pounding of my heart. My eyes fixed on the empty window frame I just escaped. A lone figure, barely visible with the bright sun in my eyes, but too substantial to be a mere ghost. My wounds were a testament to that. Once the doctor had finished patching me up, I waited in the waiting room and tried to call the former owners, the siblings, one after the other. I wanted to know what had attacked me. If anyone knew what I was walking into, they'd be hell to pay if so. The oldest son was the first to answer. I didn't go straight away. I asked probing questions. Took my time before I mentioned the basement. The guy laughed when I brought it up. Told me he hated going down there as a kid because he'd hear the weirdest noises. Like someone moaning. They all thought a ghost lived down there in the dark, to keep them from hurting themselves or playing around the stuff they shouldn't. Their father had embellished this ghost, named it Marion, he called her. Marion lived in the basement, hiding amongst the crates and old photos and clothes. She lurked behind a half-disassembled lawnmower, scuttling away to the dark places at the very edge of your eyesight. Marion had long fingernails and a haggard flour-sack dress. She had black lips and a pointed nose and a wart the size of your thumb. Marion ate children, their dad had told them with glee. And if Marion knew there were 3 bite-sized kids living just above her, she'd come out of the basement and come crawling up the stairs with her arms as long as her body. She'd slink her way into their bedrooms using the shadows as a cover. She'd start by taking tiny little bites out of any bare feet that lay dangling in the cold. What about the freezer? Did you ever use it? Oh god, no, he said. Even now, the basement gives me the creeps. That freezer was where Marion lived. Or so we figured as kids. So we stayed the hell away from it. It was just always there in the back, looking old and forgotten. I think Dad used it to go hunting when we were little, and that's where he kept the meat. But we phased all that out before I turned 5. He seemed sincere. So I didn't tell him what I'd found in the house at the end of my inspection. He didn't know that behind the freezer was a false wall. And behind that wall, basement number 2, homemade. God knows how their father managed it with no one home, with no one noticing. But he dug it out. Made a private, soundproof space. Hollowed out a room the size of your typical jail cell. The furniture was there threadbare. So, or deliberately so. A single mattress propped up against one wall, and iron shackled, bolted to the foundation. A dentist chair, modified with restraints. And a stain. A vague Rorschach blob of ancient brown and almost green that pooled outwards from a patch in the corner. It had texture. I knew that stain. I've seen it before. Residue left behind after professionals have finished peeling a dissected corpse off the hard surface. At first, I had assumed that someone had moved the source of that stain. There were even footprints. But they didn't look right. Something about them made me queasy. They had not been left in the residue. They were made of it. Something, or someone, covered in that stuff, had been stomping around down there. Until that moment, the inspection had been mundane and boring. But it wasn't every day you stumbled across a hidden dungeon. Now that I was suddenly presented with a hell of a family secret, and the one that didn't quite make sense. Let me reread that sentence. And now I was oh, voice cracked. Now I was suddenly presented with a hell of a family secret. The one that didn't quite make sense. I stood there for a good minute, trying to make the pieces of the puzzle fit. Had someone moved a corpse and gotten covered in the rotten flesh, and then walked around leaving a trail? Why the fuck had they done it barefoot? Why not clean it up afterwards? And how had they been so clumsy, yet so cleaned as well? There were no drag marks. I took another look at those footprints, and something inside my gut soured. Small feet. Woman's. We all know this story. Don't make me go over it. Basement out in the middle of nowhere. Restraints. Family man no one suspects. He'd hunted all right. Sick fuck. So who had died in the basement? And who had left those prints? Not all of them were on the floor either. With an increasingly shaking hand, I tracked a few to the wall where they had mounted a vertical surface and continued upward onto the ceiling. Just as that cold sweat gathered on the back of my neck, and a powerful sense of the uncanny ran over me like icy water. Somewhere overhead, the wind blew, and it brought the trees groan in the yard. Sounds of another world. I could see it in my mind. Up there, not far away, my car sitting in the shade. Those images felt like they belonged to another world. I desperately wanted to rejoin it, to leave this squalid little hole behind. All I had to do was walk out of that basement and make for my car. Only, I wasn't so sure I wanted to move at all. Felt like I might break something brittle. The notion that the creeping dread I felt was all in my head. A product of an overactive imagination. Nothing more. Yet I got this feeling that if I tried to run, the nightmare would spill out into the real world and give chase. I even tried to tell myself I didn't know what happened in that room. Not for sure. It could have been a game. One played between him and his wife. But I looked at the chair again, and the cracked and frayed leather of ancient straps. Some of them, there were teeth marks on some of them. I took a deep breath and regained control of my legs. Unless I saw something alive down there, I had to assume I was really alone down there. So I turned and began to walk. Eyes forward, mind steel against the myriad of tiny groans and creaks that felt like they followed me, going from shadow to shadow. I couldn't stop myself from filling in the blanks of that basement's history, even as I told myself to stop. Maybe she died first. Maybe he did. Maybe he got so bored he left her to starve. Maybe he nearly got caught and decided to put it all to an end. Maybe she snuck something sharp and killed herself. But she did die for sure, and stayed dead for a long time. At least a couple of months for that kind of liquefaction. She lost cohesion, skin, muscle, the blood-like plug that would mold at forms at the top of forgotten coffee. I could see it in my head. Her collapse. A claymation time lapse. A riot of colors. Only somehow, the natural cycle broke. She didn't go away completely, and no one came to take her away. Those were her prints on the walls, on the floors and walls and ceiling, weren't they? She lay down and died. And then somehow, she got back up. By the time I had reached the basement steps, I scared myself so bad that the sweat was pouring off me. So far, the only things I had seen on my way were just old boxes and crates and ancient bits of crap. Weed whackers and leaf blowers with cobwebs and defunct logos fading away. But that didn't mean I was alone. There was something wrong with that place. I could feel it. A radiant heat, a palpable aura of hatred. Even in the absence of anything seeming real. It was so bad that as I opened the door, I actually felt a moment of childlike relief. A little like how you might. 1 sec. A little like how you might feel racing back to bed after going to the toilet in the middle of the night, convinced some ghost is just inches behind you. I laughed. And something cold and hard wrapped around my ankle. A hand had reached between the slats of the stairs, like reaching straight out of a world of make-believe, and into this one, where things are real. I stared down, heartbeat like thunder in my ears, and I slowly began to process what I was seeing, bits and pieces. First a hand, gnarled, black, like a badly sketched shadow, visible only because of the light coming through the open door. And then beneath it, in the shadows, a face like a skull wrapped in a garbage bag. The plastic pulled so tight, you could see the suffocating outline of the empty eyes, a gaping mouth. I'd expected something wetter, something straight out of a bad horror movie. In reality, whatever was in the basement had undergone a strange transformation. I only ever saw it in parts, so I can't say for sure what it was all like. But it sure as shit didn't look like a ghost, or a corpse, or anything that I had seen in life or movies. It looked like a monster, the real deal, and I reacted like a child seeing the boogeyman. I made some weird half-muffled moan of fear, and ripped my leg away so quickly. Then I surprised myself and got free. But whatever was hiding under those stairs was quick. Before I had time to take another step, it had left its hiding place, climbed the stairs, and was already driving me into the ground. The last thing I saw before my chin smashed into the kitchen floor was that Marion really did wear a flour sack dress. At the time, this strange detail passed over me without a notice, but in hindsight, the fact that the son would later recount that particular item of clothing convinced me his father had been the man responsible for that hidden basement. It wasn't like it had been waiting undiscovered when the family moved in. And on top of that, the father had been a real piece of shit to inject that sort of sickening detail into a story he told his kids. He had likely done it so if his prisoner ever escaped and his kids saw her, their first instinct would be to scream for their lives and run. I didn't know any of this at the time, of course. I had only vague notions of what had attacked me. Something hateful, for sure. Something that had died in that awful room and came back to life. God, she was so fucking angry. She pinned me, knelt on my back, and howled like a banshee that had been hit by a car. I pissed myself at the sound, at the feeling of helplessness, at the realization that this was a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. She went to work on my back with fingers I couldn't see, but the feeling as white-hot tattoo needle pain.
It only lasted a few seconds. The agony was enough to send me into spasms, to knock her off onto the floor. That tiny moment of freedom was all I needed. I crawled to my feet and jumped head first out the nearest window. I didn't give a fuck about any cuts I might acquire. If you could have felt what it was like, you wouldn't have either. These weren't scratches. The doctor compared my wounds to those left behind by a box jellyfish. The kind of thing that causes the muscles beneath to wilt and wither after a million hypodermic needles have been turned your flesh into a porous sponge. I had to get skin grafts. I had to get rid of my car because they couldn't scrub what I'd left of my skin from the leather seats. Even now, my back looks like I got run over by a lawnmower. It still hurts when I put on my top each morning. Somehow, they're not even the worst wounds, just the biggest, the most visible. At least those scars made it easy to convince the bank not to sell. Normally, it takes a lot of effort, but they took one look at the doctor's reports and agreed to condemn it thoroughly, pass the land onto whatever strange government department handles this kind of thing. That particular house had been left to crumble. Not a piece of paper, or a deed, or mortgage payment is taking it back from Marion. We can only shut it off. The land is fenced, and every window has been slapped with so many toxic gas signs that I can only hope that no one else is stupid enough to ever go back inside. Looking back, I really should have listened to my instincts. Squatters don't leave places alone without a good reason.
That was a good one. I like that one. He was very eloquent in some of the things that he was talking about. It was interesting to say the least, but it wasn't too bad. Provided, you got past me choking. Oh, that seems to be happening a good bit here. I'm trying to keep myself clear. But yeah. It's kind of hard. And like I said, this is the first one I'm doing, so it's gonna be scuffed. Because I'm gonna figure out how I can have this set up. I have 3 freaking monitors. You'd think I'd have a better system. I don't. I'll work it out, but I already think I have a good idea of how to do that, and that's using like screen capture. And I just used it to watch YouTube. I might use it on this because I had asked Fear how she used to do it, and she just uses window capture. And I was like, "Oh, I thought you did something really cool and special and awesome." And she's like, "Nah." So I'm a bit in the lost phase of things. This last one is pretty short as compared to the last other ones we've done. So again, I'll reiterate, we're gonna put out a poll, either at the end or on Twitter, where you can find it, and I'm going to poll things, and I'm going to find out if people listen to these and if they liked them. Otherwise, I'm going to go with the one I like, and I'll go and make that a video or a video. Yeah, that's right. I'm not crazy. Shush. I realized I'm talking about burping stuff and why I have gas. I'm drinking sparkling water. That's fizzy water. I'm an idiot. I'm sitting here trying to read a story and I'm like, oh man, why do I have the burps? Why do I have gas? Man, that water's weird. Oh yeah, the water's weird. It's bubbly water. Oh, ouch. Okay. Close out of that. Jump over to here. Open this. What's going on in here? Nothing of use. Hmm. Hmm.
Still feels like I got punched in the throat, though. With a bit too much talking, I might have to narrow this down to 3 stories. And it's just going to have to be a 2-hour-long stream. Because I don't really want to spend another 40 minutes reading, but I'll do what I have to. Oh, that hurts. Alright. It's probably because I sit like crap. This one. Oh, wait. Better put a marker. Shush, I didn't forget. You forgot. Before you go to bed tonight, there might be something you need to check. It might just save your life. By user Scary Max. Well, Max, let's get to it. When I was maybe 8 or 9, I had one of those nights where I just couldn't sleep. The room was a little too hot, and I'd spent the whole day inside eating popsicles and watching TV. Now there was a weird buzzing in my ears. My whole body felt twitchy, like it was punishing me for spending the day on the couch. I've done that. Worst of all was my pillow. It had never been this lumpy before. The case had gotten sweaty right away, and then it was like immediately wet again after I turned it over. No matter how much I tossed and turned, I couldn't get comfortable. Finally, I got up and walked downstairs, where my dad was watching baseball. Seeing me, he muted it and asked if there was anything I need. I needed anything. I shrugged. My pillow sucks, that's all. He nodded. Then he got this weird smile and said, maybe it's Mr. Pillow. At first, you need to know that my dad is a total goofball. My mom had left when my sister Madison and I were little. But he had stepped up in a big way, loving us double. He was always the one to tell us the stupid ghost stories on camping trips about demon-possessed deer or bears who loved the smell of girl shampoo. And then, of course, he'd come home and rattle the tent in the middle of the night and scare us out of our mind. I was just going to get some water and go back to bed. I looked over at the TV. The Brewers were losing like 8 runs, so maybe he was trying to distract himself. He's a real creep, my dad said, ignoring me. Of course, he isn't called Mr. Pello back then. I think his name was Douglas something. Loved sneaking into kids' rooms and then strangling them to death. Damn, Dad, you're morbid. Thanks for that. Sorry. Thanks for that, I said, pouring myself a glass of water. That's definitely going to help me sleep. Of course they caught him, eventually. Big trial and everything. Before he ever got convicted, his cellmate suffocated him to death with a pillow. Got it, I said. I turned to the fridge and found some leftover pizza. Then I carefully started picking off the pepperoni as my dad continued. The weird thing came next night. They found the cellmate dead too, suffocated. Except there had been no one in the cell to do the deed. Now I know what you're thinking. Perhaps it was one of the guards, right? Maybe. But then the other people started dying. The other prisoners who messed Douglas. All suffocated in their beds. That's when they started coloring. Wow. All suffocated in their beds. That's when they started calling him Mr. Pello. Oh, spooky. So spooky. And then the kids in the neighborhood, near the prison, started dying too, my dad said. Their moms would come in and find them dead in their beds. And the only thing linking their deaths was that some of the kids had mentioned being uncomfortable in their beds the night before, asking if their parents had ever switched out their pillows or anything. Dad, this is the dumbest thing ever. Just stop. And then in the morning, they'd find the kids' old pillows stashed away somewhere. And on the bed, there'd be no pillow at all. Like at all, it just disappeared. I didn't even acknowledge the last part. I just hit the bathroom and walked to bed. Soon enough, I heard the sounds of the baseball game come back on the TV as my dad unmuted it. Then as I approached my room, I swore I heard footsteps, and a creak of a window. I walked over and looked in my bed. And I am not kidding you. I am not fucking kidding. There was no pillow on my bed. The window was open a crack, and I ran over to it. It was dark and rainy outside, and I didn't see anyone else out there. Finally, I closed the window and made sure it was locked tight.
Wait, no. Oh no! Oh, wait, no. I lost my place. I moved too fast. There we go.
My heart was beating 1,000 beats a minute now. I walked over to my closet and opened it. I saw my usual pillow sitting on the floor. I screamed and ran downstairs as fast as I could. "Dad!" I shouted. He turned the game off right away and ran over to me. I tried to explain about the window, the pillow, and everything.
It's just a stupid story, right? The stupidest.
My dad nodded.
I just made it up. And I'm sorry. I shouldn't have scared you. Mr. Pillow. Really? I thought you were old enough and it wouldn't freak you out.
The whole time he was talking, he looked kind of nervous. Suddenly, his eyes went wide.
Wait here on the couch. I'd better run up and check on Maddie.
I had never seen my dad run so fast. He pounded up the stairs 2 at a time. The whole time he was gone, I imagined my little sister, dead or dying, screaming for her life as the soft pillow wrapped around her face, choking the life out of her. I couldn't believe I had ran downstairs without checking on her first. A few seconds later, he came down, my little sister sleeping in his arms.
I think it might be a fun night for all of us to cuddle on the couch.
He said.
What do you think?
My dad never mentioned Mr. Pillow again after that. But of course he didn't have to. Even now I'm in my 30s, and I still double-check the inside label of my pillow every night before I go to sleep, making sure it's the usual one. Every once in a while, I still hear about some kid dying overnight. Of course, I have my theory about what happened, but I figure there's no point in sharing it. Who would ever believe the story as stupid as Mr. Pillow, right? I'm sorry. I know how this all sounds. I just wanted to share, in case it helps someone else out there. Before you go to bed tonight, just check on the inside of your pillowcase. Make sure you recognize the label inside. It just might save your life.
There you go.
Ugh.
Oh no.
Okay.
Blip. Close. Are you sure you want to close? Close. Okay, let's go back to the main one. Let's go back to main. Oh my goodness, that's in the way. There we go. Okay. Oh, my back. Yeah, I have really poor sitting posture. I need to learn. I have a standing desk to prevent me from sitting poorly, and I don't use it. I sit poorly instead. I don't want to stand up. I'm going to sit poor. Why does my back hurt? I just feel like there's lumps literally in my muscles. Oh, because there probably is. Because I sit sideways and I play on my computer sideways. But yeah. Those are the 4 horror stories that we said we were going to read tonight, and they were fun, at least to me. I liked them. I'm going to have to hunt for more. If you have suggestions, you can feel free to post them at me on Twitter, or join the Discord and let me know there. But there are those 2 places so far. Otherwise, point to me a link on Reddit. I would very much look for that. Because, swallow that, what I'm going to look for is around the highest voted stuff going on for Reddit. And there are no sleep. Hang on a minute. There we go. I was wondering what was going on. For there are no sleep. That way, we're always getting a couple of a constant cycle of really good things. So we have that to look for, alright guys? Now I hope you're having fun, and I hope you enjoyed that. Now I want you to go ahead and let me know which one was your favorite, okay? We had 1, 2, 3, and 4, they've all been marked out so we can find them. But I want to know what was your favorite one. Let me know in the comments below, since you're all on YouTube. Twitch, Twitter, chat. I'm gonna throw out a poll on... Excuse you. Wait, why did I move? Oh. Oh. Locomotion. Turn that off. You don't really need me to move around that much. Okay, that was weird. Anyway, that must have got turned on when I was dealing with some other stuff. Anyway, so I can put out a poll. Look for that, because right now I think the only few people here are on Twitch. Some people popped in on YouTube, and I'm fine with that. No one has commented there, so yeah, get some sleep. I'm gonna take this. If anything else, I probably won't chop it. I might extract the audio, or I will just do a full recording of it and master that as well as I can on stream, just for something fun. I'm not sure where I would put that, except art. Maybe that belongs there. Shit, does this belong in art? You know, where does that go? Does this go in just chatting? Scary stories on Twitch is what category? Oh, for a reading stream. Oh, how on the point. IRL ASMR just chatting. Oh. Okay, just chatting, because ASMR is too much of anything else, and if I read an actual book, I face copyright issues. Right, I remember that, with the exception of, like, few authors who were just really chill about that. Okay, yeah, pretty much everyone is just saying, go with, oh wow, 3,470, already that. Okay, wait, directory game horror stories, videos. Oh, it's an actual game, okay. I was like, what the fuck? I was in the wrong area. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm just stupid. Not really stupid, just lost. Okay. Well, that works out, and now that I know this, we can go ahead and continue on later and have some more fun. Now, this is a good break from Tunic. As much fun as I love playing Little Fox running around here, we will see. I might move on from Tunic and do a different game. I might, because Tunic's taken an awful long while to get through. As much as I don't really want to, it's kind of like one of those, oh my god, you're still playing Tunic. Yeah, I haven't beat it yet, so it's kind of like there. Mockingbee in its fuzzy glory. Because the other thing I still have is Yakuza, Quantum Break, and AI Synomium File. I know a lot of people are playing that one. But there was a good number of ones that I saw that were like really interesting. But yeah, I'm like, And then part of me is thinking of looking into doing Valorant or playing it. I don't know. People talked about it and they're like, it's fun. I'm like, well, is that like Apex level fun? They're like, it's kind of like Apex but shorter. Like, I don't really like competitive games, but maybe it might be worth it. So I might look into that. Whether I'll stream it or not is a completely different thing. It's like people who play League. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yes, I know that because I know a lot of streamers who play League and they're like, eh. Well, they are themselves, I should really say. But good stream. Good stream. We're gonna go ahead and call it here, and I will catch you guys in the next one, okay? And because I keep getting dinged on that ending screen. I'm only going to hold it for a little bit long and then go on to the next, okay? But you guys take care. I'll see you in the next one, and we'll find out what I do next.